All right, what in the weather gods is going on? This weather system keeps getting more and more intense by the day, and it continues to be upgraded as we see winter storm watches now being issued through areas of the north for blizzard conditions and gusts from 50 to 60 miles an hour, but that's nothing compared to the wind that's down in Texas rolling out of New Mexico, where they could see wind gusting over 70 miles an hour, pairing in with some very, very dry air, which will lead to the chance of fire conditions. We have high wind warnings and watches and advisories also being issued throughout the central portion of the U.S. And as this storm system evolves over the next couple of days, it's going to continue to bring impactful weather. Not only are we dealing with a single day of a moderate risk or a level 4 out of 5 for severe weather, but a double moderate risk shifting down to the southeast up on a reinforcing trough down throughout those regions, showing the potential for very nasty tornado outbreak potential throughout the southeast. And then that threat does continue to shift off to the east. Now, before we dive into the exact forecast for our specific regions, just want to point out how the weather pattern that's producing this storm system right here and bringing all of this crazy weather across the United States is part of a much larger weather pattern called the LRC, and that this storm system coming in this weekend was actually forecasted 6 weeks ago and even 3 months ago. I'm referencing the Lezak Recurring Cycle, or the LRC, and that a weather pattern sets up in the upper levels of the atmosphere every fall, and that weather pattern's a unique number of days long each year, and it is set to recycle over and over again until a new weather pattern sets up that following fall. Our weather pattern this year, or LRC, or the Lezak Recurring Cycle, is approximately 42 days, give or take a couple days based on some variables and other things that influence the weather pattern, such as blocking, El Nino, La Nina, the polar vortex. If I'm saying that the weather patterns are cycling, that means that this storm system that's rolling through the midsection of the country here on the 14th and 15th of March would have happened 42 days ago, or roughly around the 30th and 31st of January, where we see a storm system coming through a very similar location. Now, if we go back even another 42 days from this would bring us back into late December. And in fact, when this rolled around, it actually came back a little sooner at about a 38-day cycle instead of 42. We see a storm system in a very similar location, and that storm system was directly related to another moderate risk that was issued throughout the southeast in a very similar location as this one is on our Saturday, the 15th of March. So that happened in December, and even 42 days before this storm in November, we had the same storm system happening again and again. So this weather pattern is going to continue to cycle in another 42 days from now, or roughly around the 25th and 26th of April. This weather pattern is going to produce another storm system that may, and I'm being a little skeptical here, I'm just assuming a few variables, but we may see something similar to this being issued, where we see an enhanced or a moderate risk for severe weather shifted a bit further to the north and then shifting off to the east, and maybe even downgrading just to an enhanced risk at this point. But even at the end of April, we're still in the heart of severe weather throughout the spring, so I wouldn't be surprised if this does kind of develop into a major severe weather outbreak. I make a handful of these videos and predictions on my YouTube channel. It's just called Stormy Weather, at Stormy Weather NGP for Northern Great Plains, even though I've decided to take more of a United States approach to the Lezak Recurring Cycle, and I make a handful of these videos, including the awakening of severe weather through the end of March, as well as watch out for April, as we'll see a couple of major storms heading our way, this being one of them in the weather pattern we're in right now, and as well as even the next couple of storms that I touched on that Tuesday and Sunday around the 18th and 28th. This prediction was made about 6 weeks ago, and we're about to watch it verify